Cranlin?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
And I am also here. All please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda was posted throughout the district according to school board policy, published as a legal ad in the Superior Telegram, posted in the district webpage, and sent to the WNXR radio station for announcement. Meeting notice was also sent to the connection for publication. First on the agenda is approval of the August 15th, 2022 agenda, open and executive sessions.
Motion to approve, I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move right into the consent agenda. July 11th, 2022 regular board meeting minutes. Those were in your packet for review earlier. And then we have the treasurer's report, Mr. Lander.
A summary of the treasurer's report as of July 31, 2022 general fund. General account on July 31, 2022, there was a balance of $2,933,473.76 in cash and investments. Receipts since the 1st of August and not included in the July 31 balance were $85,145.40. And the disbursements from tonight's August 15th board meeting total $132,085.80. In the flexible spending account on July 31, 2022, there was a balance of $29,952.69 in cash and investments. In the health reimbursement account on July 31, 2022, there was a balance of $5,701.51 in cash and investments. And in the debt service fund on July 31, 2022, there was a balance of $673.36 in cash and investments, and a more detailed report on fund activities included for your review in the financial statements.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have the payment invoices, which also are included in your packet for review. And then we move into resignation, employment, and retirement.
Under resignations, we've received resignation from Mary Bowden, part reading paraeducator at Northwestern Elementary School. Derek Cotney, middle school math and science teacher. Katie Tosh for hiring, 5th grade, Northwestern Elementary School, replacing Kaylee Davis. Abby Kelleher, part-time, she's moving from part-time custodian to the reading paraeducator at NES, replacing Mary Bowden's spot. And then Sarah Dahl as our contracted sub. And we think we can get along with only one contracted sub this year. And for teachers. Well, if there's no one needed for a teacher, she would be serving as a para. Good question. And then you have my retirement to be effective June 30th of 2023. That's it for all three.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about anything? And if not, we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have some requests for district attendance boundary waivers.
Do you want to get that parent on your phone?
You want that to the first one?
Well, no, we're gonna do all of them together, and that way then the board can ask questions of all at the same time. Peg, you have,
She's on the
she's
phone.
already on the phone, okay? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 requests is what I see.
And one on the table.
That's Hannah and Josh.
Is that good for you?
Is in this listing.
You have everything.
So Callie Mellon, April Thomas, Thomas and Danielle Casper, Tootie Butterfield, but it would be Maggie Broberg is on the phone, is that
Hi,
correct?
is this Josh?
She's in the audience.
Yes, this is That's correct.
Okay.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Got it.
Good.
Are you okay if I put you on?
And then Hannah and Josh Coleman
Hear everything for the
as
Yes,
attendance bound waivers?
Kelly.
Okay, I'm gonna put you right on speaker here.
Okay, we have all present, whether by phone or in person. So are there any questions that the board has? Because as per policy, go ahead. Please say who you're directing it to.
Thomas and Danielle Casper.
Yes.
Are they here?
Yep.
So, in reading this, were your students enrolled in the district last year and you moved out? And now you're asking to open enroll back in for this year, so am I understanding that
Yes.
correctly?
Yes, so you lived on Hoffer, now living on the end of airport at the moment,
Okay,
but we're moving to Hoffer. So that's part of the reason for it, is we're looking, first off, we're moving back into the school district, and then transportation is just easier. I'm already going this way for work every day.
so I just want to make sure that I understood that you were here last year, you moved out in the middle of the school year and you're.
Yep.
Okay.
You're moving back in now.
Yeah,
August in the future.
October 1st.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the other one I had was, this was more for you, and I apologize for that one. Are the numbers that we had later on with enrollment, is that taking these into consideration into that or not?
Yes,
Yeah.
we already have those kids placed in classes.
So all 5 of these requests or 4 of these requests?
All of the ones that we are aware of, and I believe we have all those names.
Okay,
Yep. So Mary and I have already worked on class placements, and in a lot of instances, we have to get them enrolled. So they're already.
yeah, but those numbers that we had reflective of class sizes,
Yep,
this is taking that into
yep,
consideration.
that includes.
Both Iron River class sizes.
We have a listing as of 3:00 today,
Yep.
and that's in my book. What class, I was always asking second grade. So second grade, it's 24, 23, 22.
Which was reflective on.
Correct.
Yep.
However, that was the only iffy grade levels, the other grade levels I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
We
We
have
have
that. That's what, okay.
I have a question. I know at Iron River School, that we were in school twice, and there's really nothing wrong with Iron River grade school. And reading the requests here, they all seem to be logistics. Siblings, where you work and that, like, is there any, is that the truth of everybody? It's not logistical?
Mike, if I can add, we're also up to 104.
Okay.
And you were at 68, and so now
Boy.
having full-time teachers there, it feels like that's making dramatic
We have
difference. Because
15 and 4K, 20 in kindergarten. So we're building it back.
I don't know if the parents realize that they can go to, from here to Iron River too.
yes,
They can open the road to Iron River.
and we had one parent do that because they worked at North Lakes Community Clinic. So they do realize it. All good questions. Anything else?
And I just have one more, sorry.
Just one more.
Just one more. This one from, is it Tootie?
Yes.
Butterfield? Is this, in reading this, it looks as though she is the grandma who's the guardian and is asking, and is saying that they're gonna live with this Sophie or Joe, right?
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, I'm just asking the question because I don't know. Can anybody say, I want my kid to live with them, and we don't have to have any, I mean, can you legally do that?
We do have,
So Adam, if I can answer. So we do have certain circumstances with families where children will reside in our district with friends or with other family members, extended family members. We do have some paperwork that goes along with it, so if they, happen to have a medical need or things like that, can work in that paperwork for the loved ones. But it can and does happen.
Okay. Make a motion to approve.
all of them.
All
We have a motion that all, we have 5, correct?
Yep.
Request for the district attendance boundary waivers be approved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, thank you so much, Vicky.
Have a great
Motion
day.
carries.
Aye.
Okay, Josh, you heard all that?
That's great.
Yes, you bet. All right. Okay. All right, next we have Mr. Hessel, head varsity volleyball coach. That's after this. You're jumping ahead. You're gonna look at here. You are requesting the varsity volleyball attendant overnight tournament in Unalaska on August 23rd to the 25th.
That is correct. We are going into our 5th year in the tournament. We've been in this tournament ever since it started. There was a year that we weren't able to go. They didn't have the tournament because of COVID, but we've been in it since the beginning. We would travel to Unalaska on August 23rd after practice. We drive down, spend the night, probably go to Granddad's Bluff and, try to see Iowa from there and all that sort of thing. And then get up on Wednesday and play. I think we have 4 matches scheduled for Wednesday and then 4 more on Thursday. So we end up playing almost a quarter of our season down there. Actually, it will be a quarter of our season. And we stay at Stony Creek Lodge and Convention Center. Really nice place. The tournament is at the Omni Center in Unalaska, and then this year they're actually adding a second location at Unalaska High School. The tournament has been growing ever since it started. Let's see, in the past we've played teams from Middleton. That was our start of our season last year against Middleton. I think they have 1,000 kids in a grade, so that was kind of a rough start. We played West Salem, Mineral Point, Sparta, Augusta, Boscoville, Blair, Taylor, Stratford, as well as local teams like Cumberland, Ladysmith, and Webster. So it's nice to go down and see some different teams. The exact cost to attend is unknown at this time because today was our first day of practice, and that's why I don't have any girls here. They're crashed at home right now, so that's a good thing. But it'll depend on how many players we have on the varsity team. We estimate the cost for meals and lodging to be around $2,100, and we fundraise for that. So we pay for our hotel, we pay for meals. The only thing that we ask the district to pick up the tab on is the cost of transportation. We take 2 school vans, and that ends up being $712.50. So
Got that right down to the penny.
we do, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Stacy
Don't be
gives us.
Go ahead, you have a question?
First of all, it's Omni Center in lacrosse.
I think it's in Unalaska. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everywhere you go, it says lacrosse/Unalaska, so you don't even know where you are down there. Yeah,
And how many, it's just varsity, right?
just varsity.
And how many games is the volleyball team allowed by WIA?
Great question. We can play on 15 dates,
Okay.
and seven of them can be multi-team dates. And gosh, I don't know if Brian would know this. As far as multi-team dates, I think we can have one that is over a 2-day stretch, something like that. So this counts as one contest for us. This year we have 31. We'll be playing 31 matches in the regular season. We've played as many as 36.
And just one more question.
Yep.
Do you have
Yes, sir.
Supervision?
JV and C team coaches go as well.
Okay,
So yep. And then we don't have practice for the C team and the JV when we're gone. That's why we practice on Tuesday before we go. So those girls will get Wednesday and Thursday off, and then we come back on Friday.
How many kids came out with the team?
We had 30 in practice today. We'll have 33 in practice tomorrow.
Good numbers.
So yeah, better than last year. So
Do the coaches drive the van?
we do, yes.
Bless
They're nice vans. I don't mind driving.
No, that.
Well, I do that at home too, so it doesn't really matter.
Any other questions? Otherwise, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the volleyball coach team going to Alaska for their tournament.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along here, we have COVID quarantine and testing guidelines for 2022-23.
You've had them in your packet. Any questions?
I have one question. Close contact, they don't have to.
We're not tracing, we're not
They don't have to,
monitoring,
they don't have to stay home.
Nope.
But what if they would opt to?
They can opt to stay home.
That wouldn't
Parents-
count against, but that wouldn't count against their 10
Sure,
days.
sure does. And it did last year too.
Against their 10 days of attendance.
They're certainly
You
allowed.
mean you're talking from a student aspect or from a?
Students, yeah, students.
Yeah, but that would be an excused absence. Right?
It would be up to the building administration to want to say. That probably covers it.
Well, if you're homesick, I think that's.
Well, they're not sick, they were close contact, the family or my sister.
Parents are choosing.
Parents choose to keep them home.
They can for 10 days. Parents have the option for 10 days, to choose for whatever
For the
reason.
year.
For the year.
There was one, when I read this, I thought it said, as far as testing is limited to students and staff.
Over our testing at our school sites.
So previously, the last couple of years, we've had the wrestling room at the middle school with the COVID testing room.
And it
But-
still is.
But people from the outside of the district can come in and get tested, that's ending,
No,
is that correct?
No. People who were a family member from a house could come in. So, let's say my husband could come in.
Yeah.
Because I work here. It was never, a community member can just come in. That never was the case.
Oh,
But
okay.
now, it would just be our employees.
And we are not, if somebody has any symptoms, we're not testing those kids. Just awesome. I'm moving to approve this COVID quarantine testing guidelines.
Second.
Let's get a question.
Does anybody want any more discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the price increase for the Tiger's Den 2022-23.
Any questions on that?
Oh, go ahead, Mike, if you had one.
Yeah, I've got a comment, I should have it in front of here, but,
Your director's right in the back row. Raise your hand.
yeah, I'm sorry.
There we go.
But if this hasn't been raised in 3 years, it didn't seem like a real significant increase to me.
That's why, that's what I was saying.
I don't know how anybody else feels.
Partially, because my only comparison is Superior and their rates are still going to be below ours by a decent chunk. So
Well, was it part of the north?
they have it, so they go hourly. So they charge $5 an hour per, so. I don't even know what it, that's basically what it equals out to be for
Is there a
us.
minimum for that?
For who?
The heart of the north?
No.
No. So if you're there for an hour, or 45 minutes, I assume they charge you for an hour?
Yes. So then so Superior, like for instance, so I wanna up it to 110 for the morning, they charge $60 for the morning.
Never be ashamed of charging for excellent service.
Well, and that's where, but I still just don't wanna be insanely over everybody else, so.
The original pricing was set up with local providers in mind, right?
Yes,
It'd be more expensive than local provider,
No, to be right on par and not undercutting.
not undercut. Like I said, my only thing is that the wage increases, the healthcare increases are greater than 10%. So, I guess my only thing is, as long as it's in the black next year, don't care. If it's in the red, then we should probably chat again on it.
well, my thought process is, I don't wanna do this like a giant jump, like do this year, the next year we'll
We could do a
slow-
gradual.
Yes,
Yes.
versus just making a huge jump, and parents are kind of in a shell shock then.
Any other questions?
I have a question, Gail.
Okay, Gail?
Okay, if, this is, I see on the first line, it says, a monthly price. Do they have it by the day? So if you only have your kids go there three, like say after school, does it go according to the scale that it shows in the middle of that? After school, it would be $8.63.
No, so if you are on that basis, you're in drop-in care, and so then you run the risk of not having a spot, and you have to check every day, and then you spend $10.
So
Per-
it's best they have it as a weekly rate.
Right,
Yes.
Okay, that was my question.
good question.
Gail?
Make
Any-
a motion that we approve it.
Okay. Do we have a second?
So,
All right, we have a motion and a,
roll call, please.
yes, we
Yes,
need a roll call. Yep. So we have motion and a second, and now we're gonna go ahead and do a roll call vote. Mr. Glonick,
Yes.
Mr. Landwehr,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson. Yes. Mrs. Sari,
Yes,
Mr. Granlund,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. Motion carries. Next item, 2022-23 handbooks. We have the student, teachers, special ed, transportation, and co-extracurricular handbooks that we have all been given. Do we have any questions on anything for discussion?
There was a lot of reading, there's been a lot of work going into those handbooks, and I appreciate and applaud the people who did that work.
We will need a motion. Make a motion. Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2022-23 District Emergency Management Plan.
This is just an update, just to keep us current.
Any discussion on that before we make a motion? It was pretty standard.
I'll make a motion to approve the district emergency plan.
Okay, we have a motion,
Second motion, Gail.
we have a second from Ms. Sari. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a report and boiler recommendations from the August 15th, 2022 Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation Committee meeting. We had a meeting at 4:15 this evening, and present were myself, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Granlund. And we were presented with, of course, as you all know, we have some boilers that need to be replaced. We have no choice. So we were presented with a couple of different proposals. We went ahead and as you saw in your packet, what was recommended was option 3. We all agreed that would be the best option. We based that decision on the research that was provided or that was already done by Mr. Petchikotter on his committee, as well as putting into account cost and what we have for money and long-term need for heat. So we were unanimous in agreement on the committee that the option 3, which is to install 2 KN boilers at 3 million BTU per boiler for $265,000. And this would be doing both those boilers at the same time would be a big cost savings, because they've got to pull out both of the other already, one's non-working and one's acting up boiler. And so option 3 would probably be the best in all of our opinions.
And funding it through Fund 41, so that we're not paying interest
Right,
on
so
state trust fund.
we could use the money from Fund 41 to pay for that. Otherwise, we were looking at about 4% interest if we borrowed money. Did I miss anything?
Well, the only
Yeah.
other thing, there's time constraints because winter's coming, not
I
far
got a
away.
motion to accept the, option 3.
Okay, we have a motion on the table.
Can we have more discussion or yes?
You get your second and then you can
Yes.
have discussion.
After the second comes in, it's open for discussion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Mrs. Olson, and now we can have some discussion.
So we pay KFI engineering a good chunk of change. I don't know what the exact amount of this, but I know they have, looking at the receipts. So when they came in and engineered, and made a spec so the guys could bid on the, basically the option one.
Yep.
That's the boiler that bid on, that was the exact boiler they had to bid on.
Correct.
Correct, so why didn't they come up with the 4 options and then we would have had bids for 4 options?
So, as I sat in this chair, I asked questions about long range, what's best for the district. Now, I've been doing this not long, 5 weeks. So I asked the question of our engineering team. What is the life expectancy of our existing boiler that is currently working? And the fact of the matter remains is that the boiler that failed and the one that's currently working operate under the same circumstances. So these aren't my words, these are the engineering. It's a damaged boiler. So they can't tell us exactly how long that one will last, but I've been told, I'm not an expert in this, but it's not a question if it would fail, it will let. So I asked the question on, okay, how does this long range put us into a situation that we don't necessarily want to be in, where we're replacing one boiler and then having to do this same exact process a year, 2 years, or 5 years down the road. And as we know, nothing probably will be cheaper as we continue to push this project out. So we have looked at our district policy in terms of, does this go into rebid, because we're talking about changing the system. But because of the time constraints that we're in, and the supply chain issue that we have, Stack Brothers has the lowest bid. And I want to provide options A, B, C, and D. Ultimately, you have the recommendation of the team. I'm willing to go whatever direction the board needs to go, but I will say that we do have to make some kind of decision tonight, so we can basically get an order in, because when you look at lead times that we have on this, it's anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks is what I've been told.
What is the lead time on option 3? That wasn't said.
10 or 8 to 10 weeks.
There was all.
Yeah. In terms of that aspect. The price difference is that they're different, but they're obviously different manufacturers. Each one has a reasonable option, one if you wish, but that's what I'm trying to have the open conversation with our board about, is that it's a likely outcome that sometime in the near future, we're gonna have the same conversation with our current existing boiler that is going.
And the 2 boiler option is $265,000. The 1 boiler option is $160,000. So it's, the second boiler is really $100,000. If we come in later, that second one's not going to be, $100,000. It's going to be 160 plus. And that could be next year.
Well, that's option 2. Option 1 is 186, 187.
But I'm saying
There is a difference in boilers.
Yeah.
1 or 2
And then-
years.
Was option,
So
here you had
option-
that 28.5 that was gonna need to be, in addition to.
Again, is the conversations that we've had is that the system that we currently have, how it was engineered, is not a primary, secondary system. Both boilers kind of run side by side. In the event that we do have a failure, it's gonna behoove us to be able to isolate that boiler, which is why, according to the engineering folks that we work with, that if we're gonna go with options 1 or options 2, we're gonna wanna add the piping system in so we can isolate that situation and replace with other.
Which is what that $20,000.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying, why didn't the engineering company, when they put out the specs for
So-
the first one, didn't have that piping when they know it's wrong?
That's,
You know what I mean?
I think where that came from is where I posed the question on, and I'm not, this wasn't a part of the conversation before I sat in the chair, but I posed the question on, okay, let's play this out another couple of years. I know that this boiler's been under the same stress. What are we doing here? And can we necessarily try to, nobody wants to be in a situation that we're in, we do not want to be here, nobody does, but we are here, we have to figure out a way to keep this building. And if I can try to throw out an option that might help save us money down the road, I feel that that's part of what my job is to provide more options on it. Go this direction, or this direction. Right now, it's not funding that this was not in the budget, it was not in the plans, the boiler is 14 years old. It should
Is
last
that
longer.
longer expression for 14 years?
Yeah.
Do they have a life expectancy with this?
I've been told, again, we should get 25 years out of the boiler, roughly, if not more. Okay. We're going into a life cycle of them that I would say have not been here for this year.
And I don't know anything about big old boilers like this, but are these, I mean, because newer household boilers run on this is a 3 million BTU, but if it calls for 500,000, it will only fire for 500,000, where the old ones, if the baby's gonna end up being a 3 million, she's gonna fire up and that's what you're gonna get. Are these things,
No,
are these
So I anticipate some energy, we anticipate some energy cost savings, so just because it isn't, it's a newer option, it's 14 years of technology is better, but as I understand it, yes, it's not we hammer the gas, we shut the gas off. It'll ramp up.
Professor Connor?
Yes, sir.
There's also, we discussed there's some potential for rebates.
So yes, I have been working with folks on Energy Wisconsin, and again, as I understand, it's based off of really the therms, the BTUs that boilers put out. So the one boiler is not going to have the same amount of output as the other boiler. So again, this is an estimation right now. Approximately for one boiler, it's around the $23,000 rebate range. For two boilers, it's around the $34,000 range. What we're looking at.
And to Adam's point, the variable gas flow, the better that is, the bigger the rebate is, so that it's not more energy saving because of that. We'll give us a bigger rebate.
So on,
Nope, keep it going.
so on option 3, that price of $265, that's one person bid, right?
That's correct.
So we're assuming I'm not saying that's the wrong price, it could be right, but without other bids, how do we?
So, yeah, I asked the question we're late in this process. Like I said, I've come on board with this job at a weird time. Some of this work was, basically when I sat in the chair, the bid spec was done. And I technically worked with our engineer, I think literally the third day that I sat in the chair officially to put that bid out. In terms of that, actually, somewhere in that range, it was very early on in the process. Again, I go back to, I asked the tough question of, what is gonna happen here with this other one? Can you tell me what I need? Now, maybe Mr. Stafford didn't wanna go down that road because he didn't wanna go down it because you don't want to replace it at all. But if I can look at it and say, okay, we're gonna have to fight this bullet at one point in time either way, can we be more efficient by doing it all at once, not having double labor, double costs?
Well, and I think to add to you on
It's
that
a
is
tough
that
situation.
the broken one is in the way of if we were just gonna do one and we gotta remove the whole
It
thing.
would have to all come out, I want to be clear
All
on
that
that,
come
but
out.
there's some logistical issues with where
When
that
you-
thing
And
sits.
when you said you don't want to double the cost, it's not double. It's gonna be way more than double
Well,
if we
that's-
do it in
That's the unfortunate truth, yes.
two separate things, way more than double.
If we're sitting here, I guess I can't predict the future, but if we're sitting here in 3 years, trying to do this with the other boiler, I can guesstimate that it'll be more expensive.
and all 4 of these options are priced through Stack Brothers, is that accurate?
They are.
Who was the cheapest on,
That they were
The
the
initial
initial bid on the initial.
and they were quite a bit less, if I recall.
Yeah, it was a decent amount. I'll be honest with you, if we could rebid it, I'd say let's try it, but the problem is that you don't really ultimately have the time.
Well, I think if we rebid, you'd say, right,
And then have to work with, like I said, but then we're getting an engineering firm there too, and all the pieces as well. That's the hard part about this, in terms of where we're at, I'm kind of stuck, for lack of a better term, because, of the time we're at. If we would have started the process earlier, then we have time to say, okay, let's look at options A, B, C, and D, let's look at option 1, option 2, option 3, but we're where we're at now.
And what is Fund 41?
141 is the fund that we've been levying money towards at every annual meeting.
That $40,000?
$40,000, correct.
Okay.
And the long-range vision was supposed to go for, and yes, roof. However, in the meantime, we've had the shower rooms turned into 4K. We've had the stage turned into more 4K. Thank goodness Fund 41 has helped us with that, and we have avoided thousands of interest by doing that. And now we're going to go again for a boiler and avoid interest.
When this is a little bit of a segue, but that Fund 41, I know Paul's been doing $40,000 a year for a number of years. Is that the maximum amount we can do?
No, you can do
We
more.
can do it
If you
different.
chose, yes, the time to do that is at the end of
Annual
the
meeting, yep, no, and that's why, that's kind of why.
Yes, so you are correct. And that does, that's under the revenue limit. So the more money that we put into that dollar amount,
less funding
less
for,
funding comes out on the end
for staffing.
ultimately what it boils down to is operating. So there's a balancing act on that. There's, I mean, there's no maximum that we can put in.
Okay,
And that's one thing we have to think about, because those boilers, the minute you put them in, they're gonna start breaking down. And we know
Well,
that
to
in
be honest,
10 or 15 or 20 years, we're gonna be doing the same thing.
$40,000 for our operating budgets on things that might go wrong for a little, is probably not enough.
Right.
wasn't Mayor River also on the docket for a board?
Yes, but theirs is cheap compared to.
Yeah, but I mean,
That one was lined up before I sat in the chair, so
Yeah.
they're actually, I think, in the process of getting that done this week, potentially. I can't remember exactly, but,
okay,
obviously a lot smaller building. But that was already been, already
Wasn't that like
Section.
30,000? I mean,
somewhere, yeah.
it was quite a bit less than what he had anticipated.
Yes, that
It
was,
under 30.
I mean,
Believe it or not, I don't know a whole lot about boilers either, so I feel confident you've done.
I've learned a lot.
You know,
I will say that. Am I an expert? No. But you will be. I have asked some hard questions in the interest of long-term solutions in the district. That's.
These just come with a warranty.
Yes. Dependent on situation, things, anywhere from typically 10 to 20 years is what we've seen.
Okay.
So,
Do they have an extended warranty or we can get it?
Are you asking, are they calling about your car insurance?
Adam's number.
All right.
Well, they got my.
Any other questions?
I think I can answer. It's been an interesting project for the first month.
Yeah. Totally appreciate what you're going through.
My role.
It's a big deal.
All right, we had a motion and a second, but this is a roll call vote, so we need to go, and you remember who did the motion in the second, or do you want me to? Sorry, did the
Sorry,
motion?
did the motion, and then Mrs. Olson did the second.
Correct. So we're gonna go with roll call
It was
vote.
for-
Yes, that is correct. Mr. Blahnik?
Yes.
Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
Mrs. Olson? Yes. Mrs. Sari?
Yes,
Mr. Granlund?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. Motion carries. The second part of the Building and Grounds and Transportation Committee meeting was regarding the discussion of exploring corporate partnerships for funding of athletic complex maintenance. We talked about the expense, of course, with the football field and the complex, and what could we do for some possible options that might alleviate burden on the school system or the taxpayers, and we thought that maybe it would be worth our time to consider looking into naming rights for the stadium, where you have a donation, for example, like they did in Superior with where a corporation donates money for the expense, and then we negotiate how that will work as far as how you'll utilize their name. Anything to add to that? Did I explain it pretty well, or?
one example might be 60,000 a year for 10 years gives us 600,000 to go towards paying for the football field.
Athletic is a track.
Athletic complex.
Track has some issues
Yeah,
as
the
well.
track would have some issues, but the big thing, of course, is the,
What would we look at as naming rights for our stadium right now? Officially on the scoreboard, if you look at it, it's Tiger Stadium.
And they're looking for approval to go out and start exploring this.
Yeah. So basically, myself and Mr. Smith have discussed that we're trying to increase potential revenue options for this. And if the answer ultimately is gonna be no in the end, I'd say, well, we'll just save our time and not try to explore these options. I have no guarantee, but as I asked the Building and Grounds Committee we would like to explore the possibility to see if we can have a corporate partnership moving forward. The answer might be no across the board, but at least we've looked.
And the consensus on that group was yes.
To support that, because we think anytime we can lessen the burden of taxpayers, we're gonna do what we can for that. So, that would be something we would need to make a motion on, so that they have approval to move forward with exploring that.
I remember a number of years ago when we bought the white school buses, we were gonna put advertising on the side of the school bus to help offset that cost. And I don't see a thing on it. And I had brought it up shortly after I got on the board, and I remember Lester, because we talked with him, I think you and I and Lester talked, and he said, well, what kind of guidelines do you put in there? I mean, if the crowbar shows up and says, I want to put on, I'll give you $5,000 and decorate the bus up like the crowbar bus, is that the image that you're looking for? Or you get somebody in town, I mean, I don't know of any. Do you get, I mean, now all of a sudden you get somebody that comes in and says, hey, I'll give you $60,000 a year, but you're like, I don't want that, it's called whatever stadium.
So this is not necessarily, what we're doing is trying to explore the opportunity to look into this. Ultimately, what I see is that if we are able to find a dance partner, I come back to the board and say, here's the situation. And if we're comfortable with it moving forward, we move forward with it, but if not, that's.
But it's a board's decision.
That's the,
Is it, and I'm just asking questions, because is it, and maybe this is a Mr. Smith question, is it more appropriate to get name a stadium type thing, or is it more appropriate to do like you did with the basketball court, where you have a bunch of sponsors and now you have something around the field? I mean, you don't want it to be a NASCAR thing, they like to welcome to the yada, 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 But
In the world of corporate sponsorships for facilities like that, naming rights is usually a big ticket, big ask. So we're looking to do a big ask. We're not looking at getting, at least in my opinion, not getting 10 sponsors. We're looking at one.
Okay.
To start. Now, if somebody shows up and says, well, I'll give you 200,000, we got to think about that.
Right.
So to me, it's on a way bigger scale than the scoreboards and the video board. It is a big ask. I looked into Superior's, I found out what theirs was.
A lot of money.
It would be a big ask. That's kind of where this jumping off point is.
What's the name of Superior's?
NBC, the NBC band, NBC Athletic Complex. So that is kind of what we're looking at as a jumping off point, is see.
and I believe that this project, the unfortunate truth is that it's serving its life cycle. It's getting to the end of the life cycle. I believe I've been told, Mr. Smith, that we either have the oldest or second oldest field athletic complex in our state right now. So the maintenance of it is no longer, there's not rehabbing it anymore. There's not fixing it. The fibers are, it's synthetic fiber that breaks over time, and that it does. And
We've been told not to do it this year. Usually grooming of the infill, we've been told not to do that because we're gonna pull out too many fibers.
Yeah, it's too far gone.
And then it's gonna, that'll,
donation. So this is just I guess, an opportunity to explore if we can find something to eventually walk forward with this project.
Yeah, so this motion is just allowing them to
investigate.
It doesn't mean that we're gonna show up tomorrow and it's gonna be named something. This is just so that we can allow them to move
But
forward.
it's the board's decision of a yes or no. Once we find someone, we just don't want them doing all of the work, all of this, to come back to hard no.
Correct. Do we have a motion?
Nobody would like to deter for the last another 20 years. That's the fact of the matter is.
I'll make a motion to proceed with investigating.
and I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'm sorry, did you oppose?
I did, I'm just not sold on it.
Okay, all right, so we have one opposed. Motion carries. All right, revised policies, I'm gonna go ahead and read all of these, right? Because I didn't do that till the numbers. So we have, several of them here, starting with the district attendance boundary waiver, number 1421 is the criminal history record check and employee self-reporting requirement. Number 0100 was definitions. Number 0142.1 was electoral process. 0152 was the officers. 0165.1 was regular meetings. 2210 was curriculum development. 2414 human growth and development. 3121 criminal history record check and employee self-reporting. 3122.01 was the drug-free workplace. 4121 was criminal history record check and employee self-reporting. 4122.01 was the drug-free workplace. 5113 was open enrollment program. 5200 was attendance. 5410 promotion, placement, and retention. 6152 was student fees, fines, and charges. And 8450 was the control of casual contact communicable diseases.
I'll make a motion to approve all the policies presented in any technical revisions.
Gail will second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, I got a question. Go on to the change to executive office for the board. It says selected by a majority vote of those members present and participating in that. Present can mean not physically present.
Which one?
0152.
I would assume because we've changed that law.
Right, however, as soon as you were to change it back to be that you cannot be doing online, or you change anything or on the phone, then you would need to revise this policy to state, participating.
Present now means.
Now means this on phone or both.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Administrative report, communications received. Dr. Cronin.
Working draft of the August 26th, 27th, and 30th, 31st staff development and summer school open house plans. Current class size numbers for the elementary school, news release for WIAA regarding excellent award recipients, our school district students. My nomination of Tanya Craig as the Rural Principal of the Year for Wisconsin Rural Schools Alliance. Information on Handle with Care, which is a new program with implementation beginning of this school year. We will have a face-to-face report on Handle with Care briefly at our September school board meeting. End of the year participation reports from Douglas County Still a Smile. And then correspondence from Maple on weight limits for Gumshora Loop Road. Then we do you want me to continue on
Do we have
budget?
comments?
Pardon?
Any comments now?
Sure.
Oh, okay, I have a comment. The Award of Excellence recipients, 21-22 at Northwestern High School, and I know Mr. Smith worked very hard on that. I think this is our third year that we received that, third year we received that. I know there's travel involved, there's getting student leadership involved, and it's not a small thing. There's not that many schools in the state that obtain this award, and I think credit goes to Mr. Smith for doing that. And then you set the nomination for Tanya Craig. I'll second that.
Also in communications, the budget meeting format remains the same as in previous years. Budget hearing will begin at 7 p.m. in the boardroom, and the annual meeting follows on Monday, September 26th.
May I ask, who is required to be at that one? Is that Dana and myself?
The treasurer and the clerk and the president.
I don't remember.
You'll have speaking parts.
See you there.
Okay. Oh, next then we have the maintenance update, Mr. Fitchcotter?
Yeah, the maintenance update's enclosed for you. Any questions on that, let me know, but it's pretty straightforward with regards to our custodial staff, or getting our buildings ready for our students to show up in a few weeks, what it boils down to. So, pretty straightforward. They've all been hard at it here all summer, getting our buildings ready to go.
Great, thank you. WASB correspondence and legislative update, Mrs. Olson. Just a couple little things, school safety updates from the Office of School Safety. There's a new free resource available to all schools if they experience a traumatic event. If a critical incident occurs within a school community, a critical incident response team is available to work with the school-based team to supplement the resources and support efforts that are already in place. The response can vary from a phone call consultation to partial or full on-site deployment of critical incident response team members with crisis intervention expertise. Schools can contact the response team by phone or email. Number and address is on the WASB website. I'm assuming our counselor team probably already has that contact information. And also September 15th is the deadline for submitting member resolutions on the board that we want to move forward with. So that should probably be done if anyone has any.
So what was the date?
September 15th is when they need to be submitted. And also, I see here, Tuesday, October 11th is the Fall Region 1 meeting. Do you have a date that you need to know who's attending a certain time, or?
I have not, but October 1st probably would be a good one.
And that's in Ashland.
Yeah.
Okay. CC12 report, Mr. Blunt.
Yeah, as most of you probably saw the email that the building that they're trying to purchase, CC12 building, they didn't work out, didn't work. So they are effective Dr. Benson today, and there's more options.
To be completed.
Yes.
Thank you. Any donations?
Yes. We reported on the signs and potential installing of the beacon lights on Highway 22 for the safety of our students, bus drivers, and community members. It evolved after the Building Grounds Transportation Committee met with officials from the Department of Transportation, Douglas County, Director of Transportation, Lester Weezy, Town of Maple, Village Poplar. Officials from Poplar and Maple presented the opinion that our buses were damaging their town village roads. They did not have a budget to repair them. Therefore, they closed the road. Bus traffic increased on the road, specifically Gun Shore Loop, as our buses tried to avoid Highway 2. We requested a $600 donation from each municipality and village to help offset the cost of the lights, which were not included in the budget as one of the problem-solving decisions made during our meetings. We were grateful that the following communities pledged $600 donation to the school district on behalf of the safety of our students. In alphabetical order, Amnicon, Hawthorne, Highland, Iron River, Lakeside, Maple, and Poplar. Although it was voted to not donate at the Town of Hughes meeting, board members Joel Colling and Gerald Olson donated their town paychecks of $161.61. 4 citizens from the town of Hughes contributed $100 each for the beacon lights. James Up the Grove, Kevin Arnbrewster, John and Ellen Cregan for a total of $623.22. We are so grateful to these community members. Town of Hughes, Town of Cloverland, and Village of Lake Nebagaman voted not to donate.
I think it was Highway 2, by the way.
Yes, did I not say Highway 2?
I think it's at 22.
Oh, I apologize.
22 is
No,
Further down.
no,
And
Highway
Highway 2
Highway
also,
2.
Brule also,
Oh, did not.
and I don't know if he's actually took a vote. I think they, I don't think he said no, they just, because of,
I thought they officially made no motion, and so no motion means
well, it wasn't voted on, so. it
was not, yeah.
Is it appropriate to send those individuals that gave their paychecks a thank you note or?
Absolutely, and after this goes to the board, that will be done. I followed through and did personal notes because of how
Yeah.
touched I was with, and so was Mike, because we were right at that meeting when all of this went down.
That's a big deal.
It was a big deal. Mission Covenant Church dropped off a plethora of school supplies for all 4 school buildings in the district. The guidance department in each building will divvy up the supplies. Do we move on?
Sure.
Okay. Student, staff, community recognition, we have 2. Under Brian's leadership, the 21-22 WIAA Award of Excellence Award recipient, and then my nomination of Tanya Craig as the rural principal of the year. Okay. Did have a principal building. Oh, yeah.
All right, very good, thank you. All right, we're moving into comments from the audience. Just have to read this quickly. Comments from the public agenda item is not forum for school district to make with personnel concerns. The public needs to refrain from these names or specific positions when used in a negative manner. If you have concerns that involve personnel or staff members, please contact the building principal or the superintendent. Any comments from the audience? Great. Then we will have consideration for an executive session, which is necessary for those items exempted under open sessions according to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85 sub 1 CE. Included under these items is review of information presented on the expired early retirement for teachers policy and request to receive benefits as presented. We need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to leave.
To close. A motion to close.
Make that motion to close.
Motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is it a
Do we have a
roll
roll
call? Okay.
All right, order here, Mr. Monk. Mr. Landwehr. Mrs. Olson. Yes. Mrs. Sari. Yes. Mr. Graham.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
And I also say yes.
We need to adjourn both, 2 different things.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yeah, moving it, you gotta move